right, Uncle Sam FM here for I think this is episode 7 of my series with playing MLS. We've gotten through most of the MLS squad, different types of contracts, different types of players in a full MLS squad. And so I thought I would start talking about how transfers happen in MLS, because this is another one of those areas where people who aren't used to MLS rules get confused and scared off, or whatever you want to call it, choose not to play the league because the transfer rules are so confusing, and it is a lot different. It's a lot different than other leagues, any other league around the world. I've not played the A-League in Australia, but I think that some of the squad type player types contracts are similar. I think they kind of are patterned after each other, but for the most part, I find the transfer system to be entertaining in MLS. I kind of like how it works. It is mostly designed to provide competitive balance, right? So it's hard to. I mean, you'll have great teams come up, right? You'll have teams that are really good. Like right now, NYCFC is one of the top teams in the league. But the way the rules are, they're going to have to be really prudent to maintain that. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves at the bottom of the league. And so I think that's more entertaining, because you go around to like Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they're going to be in the top 3 or 4 every year because they have more money and they spend it, they buy players. But in MLS, it's a little more challenging. They want the teams to be competitively balanced. They try to keep there from being a Barcelona or Real Madrid. Now, obviously, like I say, some teams will work the system better, and they'll be good, but they won't be good probably forever, because at some point they're hey, players get old, maybe they have a couple bad contracts, they're paying a few players way more money than they should be, and they don't produce, and so they slide down the table, and so even the LA Galaxy had a terrible season in real life last year, and they're not doing super great in this game right now, but they're one of the teams that you would think of as one of the top teams in MLS. So the fact that they're not right now kind of shows that the MLS system works in keeping competitive balance in the league. And obviously you can criticize that all you want, but the goal for the most part is accomplished. So what I thought I would talk about just for a couple minutes is how you acquire players in MLS. I thought this episode I'll talk about domestic transfers, and specifically transfers within the league, from one MLS team to another. Now, obviously, in American sports, we call that trade. That is trading. You think in other leagues, you might call it a swap, whatever. But there's a few things you can use to trade for players in MLS. Obviously, player for player, right? You can trade a defender for a midfielder, whatever. That's the first obvious one. But then there's also what you call general allocation money, which that kind of right now my allocation budget is empty. I have $0 in that's my transfer budget. Allocation money, I guess, kind of the best way to look at it. This is how I think of allocation money. This is the best description that I've ever heard. If you've ever played the game Monopoly, they pass out money at the very beginning, and kind of what you do is you try to accumulate more money to buy properties, to buy motels, hotels, or houses, hotels. That's kind of like what allocation money is with MLS. Clubs, they divvy out money in the beginning. That's your allocation money is like your Monopoly money. It's not real cash, so to speak. It's you can use it to buy players. You even use it for foreign transfers, which we'll talk about later. But you can use general allocation money to purchase a player, another player from another MLS team. So just for example, let's look at the Galaxy. Let's say I wanted to try and buy Nate Schultz, who I would never buy, but let's say I wanted to make an offer. I can go down to general allocation money and I can offer up to 425. I guess that's where my budget, or how much I have. Can't remember where to find how much allocation money I have. Oh, here it is, 416,000. That's my general allocation money budget. So you can use that to buy players, and I'll do probably a whole episode on allocation funds, allocation money, because there's different things you can do with it, and targeted allocation money, which I know confusing how MLS has those two designations, but so anyway, I can use allocation money to try and buy Nate Schultz. If this went through, then LA Galaxy would get all my allocation money. Then they would have it to either go buy other players or some of the other things that you can do with allocation money. And then obviously, I can trade player for player. Let's say I wanted to send Arturo Alvarez, and you can do a mix. Like I can send all that allocation money by itself, or I can add a player, then maybe reduce it to say 90,000, and that is, you can adjust that smaller increments than just what's there in the drop down. So you also you can use draft allocations, and these are my picks in the super draft. So let's say this Nate Schultz, he's a wonder kid. I really want him. I can do all of those things. I can give him some allocation money. I can give him a player. I can give him one of my draft picks, maybe my first round, but obviously it'll let you go all the way up to 3 years into the future with your draft picks. I can trade up my draft picks for the next 3 drafts. So, and you can do multiple draft picks. So I'll give my first and my second round. I can use to trade. Another thing you can trade for in MLS, which is kind of amusing, and I can't because I don't have any. I've used up all of my international slots, but you can trade away international slots. Everybody starts with 8, and I do I like to trade for international slots, which you can trade for those in different increments. I might in a second try to go find somebody that has an international slot to trade, but you can trade for it. Trade for an international slot for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Any one of those for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, or up to 5, or you can trade for a permanent international slot, meaning they give up their international slot forever. So I like to get those. Those are like gold. Teams don't like to let go of them, so you're probably going to have to give up a lot to get a permanent international slot. But when I have it, I can then go and sign more international players, which obviously that's good, right? So I think there is a maximum. I don't remember what it is, but you can only have so many international slots. Make sure that one team doesn't have 24 international slots. And then another kind of interesting component in MLS is that teams hold on to a player's rights after they sell them to a foreign team. So if well, let's look at some of them. Some of these guys have. This is my list of players whose rights I own, right? So, I own the rights to Andre Hainault. I remember he played. He was a defender that played for the Dynamo a few years ago, and then he left, went to somewhere in Europe. I'm going to think like Belgium or something. He's a Canadian defender, but because I didn't trade him to another MLS team, I held on to his rights. So let's say the Galaxy decided they wanted to try and acquire Andre Hainault. So they would have to go negotiate. Well, they would first have to negotiate with me to get his rights because I own his rights. And then, they could trade for those rights. So these are all things that you can use to trade for players in MLS, to swap. You can any combination of these you can use. And obviously, you can do multiple players, multiple player rights. Again, targeted allocation money. And we'll get into what all you can do with that. But allocation money is for more than just buying players. So it is a commodity that teams want. My personal transfer philosophy, again, I think I've said before, I like to get more out of a player than I spend, and that does make it challenging when another MLS team comes in wanting some of your players, because it's difficult to quantify the value of some of these things. And really, it's a personal view on how. There's not a definitive way to value allocation money, right? So I can't say that $100,000 of allocation money is worth X amount of real money. So trying to establish value is challenging. I personally don't really value player rights at all. If somebody wants that, I'll trade that for whatever I can. They can have player rights. My feeling is if they're not at the club, but they're not here for a reason. So good riddance. You can have his rights. I really don't care. Draft picks I do value highly. I like having a lot of draft picks. I like bringing in players because, for one, I don't pay anything to get those. Right? I don't. They're $0. MLS just gives you super draft picks, and so it's a chance to get free players that I can then sell and make money. So I like draft picks. I like trading for them. I do prefer the upper round draft picks, first, second. I'll hang on to my third if I can get rid of my fourth round, because you're not going to get players in the third or fourth round usually that are going to be worth much. So I don't mind trading those away, but I hang on to my first and second round picks. And I'll trade for first and second round picks. And so yeah, that's really kind of player for player. If I'm acquiring a player from another MLS team, I'm looking for somebody that's high potential, that's young. Most of the time, teams don't want to let those kind of guys go. So usually you're not going to get super great players from MLS teams. That's partly why I hang on to my draft picks, because that's how you get Americans. And you can only have so many international players. So if I'm going to get Americans that can contribute and that can help me win, then I'm going to get them from the draft easier than I'm going to get them from other teams in MLS. So to me, it's important to hang on to those draft picks. And so that's domestic transfers. Thought real quick we'd look a little bit at our MLS season. Things are going well right now. I am first place in the West by a lot. I've already clinched a playoff berth. The New York City was the first team to clinch a playoff spot, but that's because they're a great team. So then I clinched my playoff spot, and New York City has been at a bit of a nosedive, and I now actually am. I am leading in the Supporter Shield race. I have the most points in the league, and NYCFC and I are level on matches played. So looking at their schedule, you can tell the last couple months for them have not gone well. Starting all the way back here with this draw at Toronto FC. Then they got put out of the Open Cup semifinal, and since then they've not done well. Hopefully, looks like they might be riding the ship. They've won 2 out of their last 3, but they went that 5 match stretch where they only got 2 points, and so that allowed me to overtake them. Because from that July 30th to August 20th, you look at my schedule. Right here, this is where their nosedive started, was where I beat Portland. Then I won my Open Cup semifinal match against Colorado Springs, so I'm in the final. From there, I've only drawn twice and won all the rest. And as you can tell, last few matches have gone well for me. I've scored at least 3 goals in 4 out of my last 5. Did struggle a little bit at FC Dallas, which I don't like dropping points to them, but we still won the Texas Derby, so that's okay. Won at Vancouver 3-1. So yeah, my last 3 home games, in MLS. I want a combined score of 10-0. So things go well for me, not well for NYCFC. So I am now first in the Supporter Shield. So if I can hang on to that, then I will be in the CONCACAF Champions League, regardless of how this match I'm about to play goes. Look at my dynamics. Things are, I think, pretty well as you can get in this first season. So my match cohesion is very good. Players have an extremely strong understanding, right? That's about as good as you can get. The locker room atmosphere is excellent. Leadership is excellent. If you look at my hierarchy, I mean, that's... I'm not really, I'm going to be honest, I've not mastered how this fits into the game yet. I think it's a pretty awesome addition, so you can kind of see. But this bottom part of the pyramid has shrunk, which is good news, right? You want more players to be influential, so that's good for me. And then my social groups has really gotten better as this core social group has really expanded. And this one that was the bottom, I don't remember what it was called, but it's gone now. So everybody's in kind of a group. There's nobody off to themselves. Now, obviously, the hope is I'd like to get rid of this bottom one, this bottom group. But that's all good. And happiness is really good, except for some are really concerned with training. So I have gone through and reduced a lot of their training loads. It looks kind of like the older that guys get, the less training they want to do, which is kind of frustrating. I think it probably has to do with some of their hidden attributes as well. When I go sign players, I usually look for guys who are somewhat professional, but you can't always tell that because it's a hidden attribute. So things are going well. When you look at my squad here, obviously, hey, mostly I'm at right now perfect morale, which kind of happens when you have a great run of form. Elise, which I am going to go ahead and start him over at Kyoto. I can only have 5 foreign players, but I've decided that he's going to start this match today because he's got 19 goals in 25 appearances, so I need my goal scorers to play in this one. Things are going well. Right, so I've got this Open Cup final playing against Atlanta United, one of the better teams in the league. I am favored, and they've told me that we'll look at my tactical advice, and I'll kind of show what I do when I have advice like this. When my assistant manager tells me to go control, I don't like going control, and I'll show you what I do when my manager tells me to do that. I try to I'm at standard. That's my whatever mentality, team mentality, and the more you raise that, the more risks that you take. So what I try and do is let me do my speech here. Go win the trophy for the fans. They don't care about the fans, so just tell them I have faith. Okay, so what I try to do when my assistant manager tells me to go control is I try to recreate the control, I guess, instructions, whatever, without actually raising the risk control. So I'll go a little wider, and the big one is I'll push my D line up a little bit, which makes everybody close down a little more. I'll up my tempo, and then I'll also extend my passing, which widens everybody, pushes the tempo up even higher. So it keeps kind of the mentality the same, but it also kind of recreates the strategy of a control mentality. And with this, I don't want, not because they beat us. I want to win every match. So here we go. Atlanta United. That actually is now the closest MLS team to where I live. I live in Tennessee, and so I followed their expansion bid. Um, and I'm familiar with the owner who also owns the Atlanta's NFL team. Now, actually, Nashville, the Nashville MLS franchise will be closer for me, but still a good 4-hour drive. So I won't. Don't know how often I'll get over there to watch, but probably some. I was one of the founding members of the Nashville SC and PSL team. They started off as a fan-owned team, which was interesting. They want to try and do it more like foreign teams. Oh, Tomas Martinez has a knock. That hurts. I need him. I need him. Nice interception by Beasley. Leo Roosh. Yeah, see, that's why I need him. Cross from Martinez to Manotas, and we are ahead 1-0 in the 20th minute. That stinks that he's hurt. I gotta think about what to do. I might leave him in for the half, and then bring in Alexander the second half. Alright, so with the 1-0 lead, I'm thinking about going back to just my regular bog standard tactic. But right now we're still in control, so I'm not going to overreact. And here they come. That's close. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my just regular way of doing things. Doesn't really look like they're attacking super hard. Ooh, saved by Sights. No, come on, Wenger. That's where the foreign player limit in the Open Cup hurts me, because I have to start Winger instead of one of my other. Well, instead of Kyoto, who I had to. I mean, Kyoto's not even on the bench. And they've got more shots than me. Halftime, I'm probably gonna go back to my control. They're taking a lot of long shots though, so it's not terrible. My team naturally forces a lot of long shots because if we stay compact in the back end. Lost possession in the central area. Probably because Martinez is hurt. So let's bring in Eric Alexander. He's a decent MLS player. So I'm not going to go wide. I'm not going to push the tempo. But I will increase this other stuff. And then pep talk. Alright. Good performance so far. Keep it up. I need Alexander to have the game of his life. Manotas. Let's see, I've got my front three are on hard tackling, so sometimes it means that they foul. Oh, another. I really do not want to have to rely on Chris Seitz to win this game. He is not. I'd call him a below average MLS goalkeeper. He was one of these guys that there was a lot of high hopes for when he first came up. Came up as a young kid. I can't remember who he came up with. I know he spent at least some time with Dallas, and maybe who he came up with. And so he was one of these that we had hopes for, but he's erratic. He never seems composed. He always looks like he's a nervous wreck. And Alexander's offside. If we lose, I'm gonna blame Tomas Martinez for getting injured. Atlanta suffers an injury. They're creating more chances than I would like. But Atlanta is a very attacking team. They come at you. They push hard. They're one of these. They're one of these teams that by the fifth pass, they want the ball to be in the back of the net. They do not want to touch them. They're not your Barcelona. They're more of your Liverpool type team. Your Jurgen Klopp. They've got another injury, which kind of helps me. Now, they've gone with a narrow formation, so when teams do this, I will go wide. I already have my passing a little wider, so I'll go really wide and exploit the flanks. Try and make them cover the pitch horizontally. I'll confirm. 80th minute. I thought injuries was bad for me, but obviously they have devastated Atlanta, as Atlanta's now down to 10, and they've not had a red card. Oh, there it is. That's it. I have won the cup. I've got one hand on it. 6 minutes to go. I'm going to go ahead and sub some guys out to maximize my advantage of having an extra man. So we'll bring off... Well, you know what? Let's... Got Roosh. So we're going to bring in... So they're in here. In the midfield. And well, let's leave Beasley on there, and we'll bring Alvarez in for Manotas. Yeah, Atlanta having too many guys injured, that was their doom. That doomed Atlanta, and so we're gonna bring home our first real hardware. Nice cross from Machado to Alexander, who lays it off for Manotas and the goal. Yeah, Atlanta's going to try and still make something happen. Alexander put it away, almost. Saved by Guzan. I know some of you are probably irritated at my view. Obviously, I've been playing FM since '05, and so, you know, when I started playing, it was the dots running around the field. And so... I always liked being able to see the whole field. That was the one thing. And even when they first came out with the 3D match engine, I would put it on the old 2D, the classic 2D view, because I like to be able to see how my formation lines up. I like to see the whole team. And so, oh, there we are, celebrating the cup. This is a nice win. I couple lucked out again. Atlanta... Partly it was Atlanta's choice. They had the weekend game, obviously, the Open Cup. They played midweek, and the Open Cup final is midweek. And the way I play, I play to win the cup. So I'll play a weakened squad in the league match that's right before the Open Cup, so that my Open Cup team is full strength. Atlanta chose not to do that. They went for the win on the weekend. And so they played some tired guys, and obviously that caused injuries. And so Atlanta was unable, after Nagby's injury, you know, they had already used their 3 subs, so they're a man down, and that killed their chances of getting back into the match. And so, so I win. So yeah, very exciting. Nice win. And I don't remember what I was talking about before. I got off on the winning, but... oh well. So congratulations, guys. We are now off to the Champions League. Very exciting. First hardware win. Yeah, so we have our first real cut. Obviously we won the Texas Derby, the Capitan Cannon. That's good. Want to beat FC Dallas. And we won our preseason cup, but this is the first real cup, and it's the first real cup with something tangible, as we now qualify for the Champions League. Martinez injured for a little over a week. It's not terrible, but obviously I'd rather have him. We weren't the only strong side. We had to earn the success. Everyone showed a performance. Continue doing the right things. The team talks get a little redundant, or interviews, media interviews get a little redundant in FM. All the defense did their best. I'm not going to give Sight sole credit. He did make some important saves, though. I'll give him that. But even the saves that he made, they were just right at him. So, whole squad's on a huge high. Got some money. And I do like to praise performances when I get a chance. Yeah, we'll say your shirt probably go. Yay. All right, so Open Cup champions, great win. I try to win the Open Cup. I have a whole team selection that's designed to win the Open Cup. A lot of teams in MLS, a lot of people don't take it seriously, and but I do. Because to me, it's I would rather get my Champions League berth in 5 wins than try to do it over a course of 34. So, it is something that I go for. So with that said, I have 6 more games in the MLS season. I will probably do my next video when I make it to the playoffs, kind of show how I set up my team for the playoffs. Might look a little bit more at tactics. I'll probably also look at foreign transfers, so that you can kind of see how that works in MLS, because it is different. So with that said, this is Uncle Sam signing off.